All right, in the second video here, we're going to show you how to graph in Excel. Um, and now the data we found here, this is all right, this is the descriptives. Where's my button? For all the data together, regardless of whether they were males or females, okay? Or again, what age group you're in. But what if I wanted to look at things or ask questions? What if I wanted to know if there was a difference in grade scores due to gender? Okay, so let's set it up here. And since I didn't do a good job of this, we're going to just guesstimate here. And we're going to say that ones are females. Okay. And twos are males. Okay? And then I'm going to find two things. I'm going to find the exam grade mean. And then I want to find the standard deviation. Okay, so from the previous video, you should know how to do this. And this time I'm going to just type it in to show you I could do it that way too. So I'm going to find the mean, which we know is average. Okay, instead of clicking on the cell, I could just look over here and say, all right, it starts here for the ones, and it looks like, in this case, the first one is on D2, so it's going to start my average from D2, and now I'm going to just hit a colon, and then I'm going to look down and go, where do the ones stop? The ones stop here at D24. I could click on there or I can just type it in. So I'm going to go D24, close parentheses, and I get my average. Now I'm going to do the males, and so it's going to be equals average. All right. And now, well, if it's finished at D24, the first one's going to be D25, and I just have to remember which the last one is. So we scroll down and it's going to be D47. All right. So colon D47, close. All right. So we see that the females had an average on the exam of 75. The males had an average on the exam of about a 71. Standard deviation, I can do the same thing. STDEV, open parentheses. It's going to be the same. So it's going to be from D2 colon to D24 equals STDEV from D25 colon D47. All right, and they have fairly similar standard deviations. All right, so now I want to put in a graph. So to do that, I'm going to highlight these two. All right, and I'm going to put everything here. Notice I left the standard deviations out. I don't want those put in right now. I'm going to insert, and when we compare groups, usually what we use to compare groups is bar graphs. So I'm going to do that. They call it a column graph. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to just do a simple column graph. All right, notice it already gives a lot of things for me already. And so I have my exam grade. It gives me values here. Now I could put an axis title that says gender, but sometimes that might be redundant. Most people can understand that gender in this case is the female and the males. Now notice here a couple things though that aren't really good. Excel likes to decide your scale for you, and well, it starts at 68, so it looks like there's a big difference here. Well, I don't know if there's really that much difference, so I'm going to adjust it. So I'm going to left click on the axis here, and I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to go down to Format Axis. And lo and behold, here it tells me my min and my max. Well, the min score is a 0. And why don't we go the highest, but I know I'm going to have a standard deviation, so I'm going to go up to 100. And then that'll account for my standard deviation when we get it in here. All right? So that accounts for part of it. Now I should also tell what these are. So this should be my this, and I'm going to add an axis title. In this case, I really only need the vertical. Sometimes I will need a horizontal. Notice when I do that right now, whatever I type in will put on there. So it's going to be exam grade, and I'm going to put percentage, or I could use the percentage sign, and then we have that there. Now the only thing I'm missing is the standard deviation, and what we typically do for this is we put in error bars. So to do that, I'm going to move this where I can see my standard deviations. Okay? And what I'm going to have to do in this case is, now in this program I can do it here, is I can add a chart element. Okay? And notice it says error bars. So I want error bars. I'm going to go to more error bar options. All right. I don't want standard error, standard deviation, because it doesn't actually calculate it off your data because you haven't highlighted the data. So we do it, since we've already calculated the standard deviation, we can do it with the more error bar options here. So I'm going to do that here. Okay. Now, direction. You can do both, but since it's a bar graph, plus is just really the only thing I need in this case. I like the cap, so I'm going to leave it on. And now I'm going to do a custom. Right now it's going to be a pain because the custom is being hid in this. So I'm going to shift over so we can see when it comes up. This is what I'm going to have to click on, and then we'll go back to it. So now it's going to say specify value. Positive error bar. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this because that tells me then whatever I highlight will do it. So I'm going to click both of it. So this will be for the first column. That'll be the error for the first column. And this will be the error for the second column. Click on that. Click OK. All right, and notice that it puts it in. We are good. I can X out of here. I can shift back over. And I have my graph with appropriate error bars. So again, we can see that the females have done better, but with the error bars, it's not quite as dramatic as it might be. There's a lot of overlap in the two. So this is how I would set up my graph using Excel.